prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as. Look at the shields on the mark.
Oh my god, the ball is going to take him.
Welcome back to the IPL Season 2. This is a loser round 2 matchup between DarKFoRcE and BratOK, and this is game number 2, where BratOK took game number 1 in an interesting back-and-forth battle. There were several moments where it looked like DarKFoRcE had his back up against the wall, and he was going to be contained to his natural, and then all of a sudden BratOK gave up his position, but off of a counterattack, unfortunately DarKFoRcE fell and had no economy left to take on BratOK. So we've got DarKFoRcE spawning as the blue Zerg in the northeast here on Tal'Darim, and we have his opponent BratOK as the red Terran spawning in the southwest. And I really kind of liked his contain and choke style that he played on Crevasse. I thought it was very, very intuitive type of play, using those rocks that lead to the center of the map to his advantage. It became very difficult for the Zerg to actually attack against it, and as a result, he kind of got himself a nice little lead and eventually took it all the way home. I'm DJ Wheat from OneMoreGame.tv, and this is an opportunity for BratOK to eliminate DarKFoRcE and go ahead and take himself to the lower round 3. Of course, DarKFoRcE must win this one if he wants to stay in the IPL Season 2. And guys, don't forget to check out IGN.com/IPL if you aren't already doing it on a regular basis. A lot of great player interviews, IPL TV going on, and then, of course, the premier IPL Season 2 as well. Catch up on all the games you might have missed. Learn more about some of the players. And right away, we see this barracks being built so close to the main of BratOK, and I mean, it's not too unusual, but it can be susceptible to some sort of an attack early on, since we are cross positions, and we did see our Zerg go ahead and drop the hatch first. He might be in pretty good shape, as we see the pool is down as well. Now we're going to get the gas coming out from DarKFoRcE. So we're just a little bit behind. Now we're going to have the supply depot put up here at the smaller of 2 chokes that are on Tal'Darim. You have the initial one that leads into the main, and then you have another choke right here, which eventually will likely get filled out. Now we'll have to keep an eye because our finery's down. In fact, we're already going to have a very, very quick factory from BratOK, as the hatchery's not even done yet at the main. SCV's coming over, and he will scout that is just about to finish building. Going ahead and getting himself a queen and 2 Zerglings on their way out. A reactor being thrown down on the racks, and we could go ahead and have reactor Hellions here, as the switch will happen as the reactor finish. I don't know. The timing's a little bit off, but we'll see here if the barracks lifts after. The factory will get done, and it could go ahead and output 1 Hellion right away and then switch, but he'll go ahead and wait. So, meanwhile, he has the command center building here, creating a temporary wall that, of course, will be flown right over here and landed, so he can take his natural. 1 spine crawler being put up at the front, and 2nd queen already out. And she's going to drop a creep tumor first. Opt to go with that instead of the spawn larva right away, which is a pretty good thing to do, because this is going to be a huge, huge attack point for the Terran. And if he gets up here and the creep is not spread, it can actually be a very, very difficult thing to deal with. Now, we have a couple Marines coming in here. The Spinecrawler does root and gets himself in a position where even if the Marines try to move past it and go into the main, he'll be able to do some damage on their way out. We got 1 Ling heading into his opponent's base while 2 Hellions are on the way. Now, a lot of times, there's different ways that you can deal with this. The first one would be is that you rely on your Speedlings to go ahead and take out those Hellions as they make their way in, with 2 more on the way. So there will be 4 total, and that means you need quite a few Lings in order to deal with that. Speed's not yet done. The other's to throw down a Roach Warren, and it doesn't look like DarKFoRcE is going to go that route. He's going to be okay with just the Lings and the 1 Spinecrawler that he has out as he repositions that closer to the ramp, and already that creep spread is going to be very important. He's going to spread it over here to inside the base, so it'll start to spread out, and I like that idea as well. Now, the 4 Hellions are not going to go in for an attack, at least not right away. A bunker is going to be placed here, as we're probably going to have this go ahead and lift and land over here at the natural. Meanwhile, we have another Rax going down. The tech lab has been put here, and no, it was just those initial Hellions to do some harass, and they didn't really even do that much in terms of harass. Now, they did make DarKFoRcE make a few extra lings, but not a whole lot. We didn't see an overreaction by any means. He's got a really, really good drone count already. As we take a look here, it's 38 to make that 42 to 27. So really good economy coming out. The lair is done. And I wonder what he's doing with the lair so early. He only has the 1 gas down. He's taken both of them here at his main. Could possibly... There we go. That's why the Spire does go down. So he'll be prepared for that. Or at least preparing himself for it. Mutaling Bling. Or just Muta Bling. Very, very popular here against the Terran players. Haven't seen a Baneley Nest go down yet. And there it is right there. Gets started just a little bit after the Spire. And now we have a full wall for BratOK. The 3 supply depots and the bunker. More Marines on their way out, getting combat shield. Stim is already complete, so he'll have that to his advantage. And now the 4 Hellions will, instead of being used sort of as a harassment tool, because there was this impending spine crawler there that, of course, would have dished out some good damage to those guys. But he can use it to clear the towers. He can use it to find scouting ling patrols that are getting ready for a counterattack. And that will make it a very tough job here for the Zerg. DarKFoRcE is going to continue to have to bring these lings out to take vision, and these Hellions will be very active about clearing out that vision. And look at this. We got a double-loaded medevac drop heading out towards the north. Actually, he's going to split them up, sending one to the far east side and one to the far north. Now, let's take a look at the vision here, because he will likely see that, not on the lower Xel'Naga tower, but as it enters into vision, and right there we see it flying over. But this one did not get seen, and that one could, of course, be the one that does a lot of damage. The first mutas are out. He's going to try to get away from that, dropping those Marines. More importantly, what is he going to be able to do with this one? Will the mutas be able to swing around in time? He goes right over to the back of the mineral line, drops off a single Marine, and now the mutas on their way over. Not a whole lot of them out, but all the lings come up, and this is going to be a dire situation for BratOK, as he either lets his Marine die in the medevac, or he lets them die in the ground from the Zergling. So well played by BratOK, as now the Hellions going to go ahead and get on out of there. The lings do position themselves to make sure that this expansion stays secure. A tank is out, and I believe that's the first one that we've got. Second one on the way. We can take a look at the unit tab. Yep, the second tank now on the way, and does have siege mode already. Be able to use that to his advantage. But the muta count is starting to grow here from DarKFoRcE. One thing I noticed is that he tends to build it over time. In the last game, he only had a handful of mutas, maybe 2 or 3, and then just started building them up higher and higher. Unfortunately, due to a few engagements, he wasn't able to keep that muta count up, and that is very important in the TVZ. We see BratOK actually responding with several missile turrets. What that does is it causes somewhat of a delay in any sort of direct mineral line harass attacks by these mutas, because the mutas do not want to engage with several missile turrets in those numbers. You typically are going to want your +1 attack, which is being researched right now, and several more mutas, as we do have 5 more making their way down to the south. Might be able to intercept this Marine right here, and with the help of the Ling, yes, they'll take him out, and the Ling will retain vision. Now, we still have this medevac over here, but it is hurt and is heading on back. I'm curious to see what DarKFoRcE is going to do with his mutas. Right now, his current count is at Just it looks to be about 15, 14 mutas here. So there's a few different things you can do. As you can see, one of the tools is to go ahead and hit the refinery. What that does is hit the SCVs on the refinery line and some of these SCVs over in the corner. It also keeps him out of range of the missile turrets. And now the muta count looking very solid here for DarKFoRcE as he got that third base up with the gas, and he also has this base up. No gas being mined quite yet, but he'll be able to use that very well. And this muta pack here can do a lot of damage. Got a couple more missile turrets going up over here, but he might be able to stop those. There are some Marines that have come over as well, and who will immediately turn around. So BratOK coming incredibly prepared to this battle, preparing his base with missile turrets to combat those mutas. Mutas now flying around trying to find any sort of entry of attack. This one might be the best, but he does have 2 missile turrets and the bunker. He can fly down here and take out this missile turret independent. And maybe, actually, I think if he tries to take this one out, he will be in view of that bunker. So the mutas sitting on top of this ridge. You'll note that they cannot be seen. Oh, actually, one muta can be seen there with the tank and the medevac. One Marine heading on out. And we haven't seen any banelings morphed in quite yet. Waiting for an opportunity to do so, but a lot of lings out here for DarKFoRcE. There's a scan, and he is not ready to take on that Marine force. This Marine force moving out with a huge number of tanks. He really needs some banelings to combat this. I would be shocked if he tried to go for it. And he will go ahead and pull back. Will he maybe try to move all the way around? Get a surround on those tanks. His muta count climbs even higher. He's now sitting at 27 mutas. But as you've probably experienced yourself, if you play Zerg, they can absolutely melt to the insane DPS of those stimmed Marines. And that whole army is moving out. But will return to close to the natural here. Unsieged, however, must be careful. +2. Oh, look, we got a Nidus network going down. Got +2 flyer attacks coming up here for DarKFoRcE. Also getting the pathogen glands upgrade for those infestors. Already going up to hive tech. So looking really good so far in terms of technology. Our Marines are sitting at 1-1. Tanks with no upgrades yet, but we have the first vehicle weapons level 1 on the way. 3 tanks in production as we see these factories just churning out the tanks needed. And he's going to go ahead and go in for an attack at the front. If he busts this, it will not be good for BratOK, and BratOK may have to choose to just come back and, oh my gosh, he saves that last tank. The BratOK may have to choose. Oh my god, the banelings, and the siege is not done yet. Oh, and the banelings just don't do it nearly as good of a job as they need to. The mutas are flying back, and these tanks are completely naked right here. He could take them out with just a few volleys as they're all clumped up together. A couple lings coming into view. Here come the mutas. He absolutely needs to get rid of all of these as that base does go down. He can then use the mutas and the lings, but he's got to be careful on this engagement. He needs to get the lings out first. Lings will go in for the surround. All these Marines heavily damaged. In come the banelings, and this will be cleaned up, but the muta count did drop from about 30 down to 20. We have 12 more lings on the way. Ling sitting over here trying to block this command center from going down. And that was a pretty big hit to the economy. However, this base has gone up. This base is up, although it is not mining quite yet. And the mutas now have +2 weapons. We're seeing +2 go down for our Marines on BratOK's side. And this seems like a great opportunity for a counterattack by DarKFoRcE. He could use all of these lings and banelings to actually take out the very small Marine count that he has got over here. And use the mutas to clean up the tanks, especially before these missile turrets get up. So the mutas making their way over to take out a dropship that was spotted. And there's not going to be much there to take out anyway. That dropship will fall. The medevac sniped out of the air. And BratOK seems to be in a very vulnerable position right now. He does not have a large army. If we take a look at things, 199 to 175, 74 harvesters to 67 harvesters. And here come the mutas. They're going to try to get rid of this natural expansion. 1, 2, 3 missile turrets go down. The Marines helping out here do get cleaned up by the mutas, and he will likely kill absolutely everything here and probably clean up the front as well. That means BratOK is going to move out, but how much damage can be done without a mass of Marines here? These mutas will be able to clean everything up. We have adrenal glands on the way, making those lings even more effective. We've got several banelings up here, and the tank count is incredibly low right now. I'm surprised that we haven't seen DarKFoRcE actually take out these tanks at the front and then let a bunch of lings run in and do their damage. And let's watch over here. We do have these 2 infestors. If they land even a single fungal growth, it is going to be quite nasty. The mutas also can flank in this situation, and I have to feel that DarKFoRcE is sitting with a very, very nice lead in this battle. And here come the mutas from the back. They'll clean up all the tanks, and everything is annihilated there. It's just a few Marines making their way up, but again, not a mining base. So not a very good trade here for BratOK, as he is kind of being out-controlled here. That will go down, but with a ton of lings streaming out, it is easily cleaned up. And now 2 tanks, a couple of missile turrets here is all that stands for BratOK. He's got a few more tanks and 11 Marines in production, but again, with the amount of mutas, the amount of lings, and the upgrades on the lings are now at 1-2. Mutas sitting at 0-2. Yes, this base is up. It's got the triangle of missile turrets along with the planetary. That one will be a tough nut to crack. But if the muta count got high enough, probably wouldn't be a problem. We see the corruptors coming out, and that means that he'll have some broodlords on the way. That will pretty much seal the deal here as the tank count increases. But again, without the Marines, what does he really plan to do? I mean, this is not a lot of Marines for a late game Terran. Here we have the mutas finally making their way over. 1, 2. He's going to go for a third, but realizes that this might not be a good battle to partake in. So the missile turrets get repaired by the SCVs. It's like a couple of Marines also lose their lives here as the entire army from BratOK is forced to move into position. A couple of lings sent back out. They will quickly get taken out. We have +3 weapons on the way for those Marines, making them very, very deadly versus those mutas. And you got to get to a point where you're going to have to transition, hence the broodlords, and we can see a couple morphing in right there. Mutas going back in again, and there is a Thor out. And he's got to be careful with that Thor out. Uh-oh. There's the army moving into position. There's a Thor out on the field as well. He really needs to get those fungals out, but the Marines are so far away. And not a good exchange for DarKFoRcE. He is now looking much better than he was even a few moments ago. Setting up a siege line, has a Thor out, second Thor sitting in the base to protect that natural. This hatchery has been discovered by the lone Marine. This one will be canceled. And it's so hard to imagine because DarKFoRcE had an opportunity. Now, DarKFoRcE is a player who would rather play a longer macro game, and that might have been why he decided to not go in for that big attack. And I hear a Nidus, and the Nidus is going to be right over here. I'm not sure if he's just going to use it for mining reasons or what. I'm a bit confused. Oh, a Fester. Okay, I like that. Fester gets loaded up. He can go ahead and drop some fungals over here. Meanwhile, we do have the broodlords moving into position, killing the Marines first. They'll start to work on those tanks, and there's not going to be much that BratOK can do. Marines moving forward to try to pick off any number of these broodlords, but the medevac cannot out-heal The Broodlings, unfortunately. And he will be able to go in for the kill here. As the medevac gets taken out, he'll lose all of his mutas, but it won't really matter as long as he can continuously bring in those Broodlords. He should be in pretty good shape. He's going to take out the remainder of these tanks. And this is going to be a very, very tough situation for BratOK to come back with. If you look, he's at 140 supply to his opponent's 198. He cannot even morph in any more Broodlords due to the cap that he's at. BratOK just trying to do anything to keep himself on an even playing field versus DarKFoRcE. And finally, we have the Infestor coming out to do some harassment. Once the Broodlords come over here, they'll be able to dissect the front of this space and then kill any reinforcements. And as long as he can take out this little traveling band of misfits from BratOK, he should be okay. This base is going to fall, but more importantly, what could possibly happen to the internals of BratOK? The one Viking out will not be able to help him in this situation. This force is getting smaller and smaller. And eventually I think we're going to see GG out of BratOK. I cannot imagine that there'd be any way he could take out this army. Not even a legion of ghosts to quick snipe those Broodlords, because he's got the Banelings on the bottom and fully loaded Infestors as well. And now sitting on literally just a base and a half, this Infestor continues to harass over here. Just Thors coming out right now and Vikings, but it will not be enough. The Infestors on hold position, just kind of chilling in the back, and he's going to go ahead and bring them forward. Neuroparasite on the first Thor, on the second Thor, and this is going to have to be GG here. I see no way that BratOK can come back from this, and DarKFoRcE playing his very meticulous macro style, not forcing the win, but rather getting more bases and playing to a point in the game where he knows he can win. And BratOK is just getting dismantled from the inside at this point. If any of these Broodlords go down, they can instantly be resupplied by the Corruptors. Just one Viking trying to be a hero. Another Nidus Worm will come out, and there it is. GG from BratOK, and DarKFoRcE takes game number 2 to force it to a third and final game here. The winner will advance to the losers round 3, and the loser will be eliminated from the IPL Season 2. I'm DJ Wheat, and we'll be back with the conclusion of this matchup between DarKFoRcE and BratOK after this.